Hello everyone and welcome to my channel YNR Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Victor finally found out who took the USB drive, and the truth hit him hard as he stood by himself in the dimly lit boardroom of Newman Enterprises. The only light came from the city lights shining through the glass walls, bouncing off the shiny table that used to represent control, power, and legacy. His hand shook, not because he was old, but because of the angry feelings bubbling inside him, as he went over the last confession in his head, each word sounding like a gunshot. For days, he had thought the enemies were from outside his empire, cruel competitors, betrayed friends, and sneaky people who wanted to take advantage, but the real truth went even deeper, right into his own family, and showed the weakness he had ignored for his whole life. Because the thief wasn't some unknown person hiding in the dark or a powerful boss trying to get ahead. It was someone he had trusted completely, someone he thought was completely loyal, and the betrayal by that person hurt much more than any big company takeover. Adam. His son. The prodigal Newman. The one he had kept forgiving over and over, even after being lied to, tricked, and targeted in ways that nearly destroyed the family. But then came another betrayal, even worse than the previous ones, because the USB drive had encrypted files that showed secret talks, alliances, bribes, and strategic moves meant to keep Newman in control. Evidence that, if shown, would turn everything to ashes. Victor sat down in the leather chair, noticing how heavy it felt, and looked at the empty screen where the drive used to be connected before it disappeared completely. Even though the room was quiet, he could feel disorder growing from the edges. Stock values dropping fast, investors getting angry, and reporters looking for someone to blame. His empire was like a strong fortress, but the weakness came from inside. Victor had always known how much Adam wanted approval and control, the frustration inside him from years of feeling like the outsider, always needing to prove he was good enough to carry the Newman name. But Victor never thought Adam would go that far and take something that could ruin everything they had. He remembered the argument, an unexpected knock, a straightforward question, a change in Adam's eyes that showed guilt before any words were spoken. A heavy silence filled the space between father and son, broken only by the quiet sound of the building's ventilation system, until Adam finally spoke the truth. He had gone on the drive, planning to use the information as a way to gain power, a tool to break free from Victor's control and escape the big shadow his father's control had kept him in. The situation had gotten out of control, almost falling into the wrong hands, and the confession was made only as a last-ditch effort to get help. Victor's heart raced with anger and sadness because he had always known about Adam's struggle, love fighting against hate, but he had hoped that maybe this time trust would win. Adam stood in his office doorway, looking away, his voice shaking because of guilt, and admitted to a betrayal that broke the already weak connection between them. Victor had every chance to shout, punch, call the guards, or cut ties forever, but his voice stayed strangely calm as he asked for every piece of information. Who else was in on it, where the drive was hiding now, and how near it had come to being found. Adam spilled everything, feeling really bad about it, and his regret showed in every word he said, but the harm was already done. Victor could feel the earth moving under his feet as the years of being controlled, learning to be cruel, and his own fatherly dreams started to catch up with him. Did Adam's betrayal just reflect his own teachings? Had Victor made the weapon that now looked ready to hurt his own heart? As the truth became clear, Victor couldn't avoid the irony. He had raised his children to be strong, clever, and determined, but he hated them when they used those same qualities to fight back. But the urgent problem kept bothering him. The missing drive taken by force, and the chance that another player was hiding, ready to attack when the time was right. Adam said he took the drive before anyone could copy it and claimed no one else had touched it, but Victor still felt unsure and doubtful. After everything that had happened, how could he possibly believe even one word? His empire's future could depend on a son who has turned against him many times more than he's willing to admit. His breathing became slower and more steady, as anger slowly turned into careful thinking. Newman Enterprises had faced tough times before, dealing with problems from inside and outside the company, but this act of betrayal combined years of family issues into one big, devastating event. Victor thought about what would happen if the truth came out. Reporters would go crazy, the rich people in Genoa City would start talking behind closed doors, Victoria and Nick would use it to show Adam isn't stable, and a fight for control would start again. splitting the family apart in front of everyone and causing damage that can't be fixed. His enemies, Jack Abbott, Tucker McCall and Audra, would rush in quickly, like vultures waiting around fresh meat, happy to take advantage of Newman's weak points. Throughout everything, Victor would once again have to decide between keeping his empire safe or keeping his son safe, a decision he was sick of facing but couldn't avoid. Rage came back, but it was mixed with the sharp pain of a father's disappointment. He imagined Adam as a young boy, longing for approval, and really wanting to prove where he belonged in the family. He imagined all the second chances given, the bridges fixed only to be set on fire again. Had Victor ever really loved his son without any conditions, or had he always used him as a tool in his never-ending pursuit of power? Maybe Adam took the drive not just to gain control, but as a strange way to finally be noticed. Victor ran his hands over his temples, feeling his tiredness spreading through his body. A few hours ago, his life was calm, in order and easy to handle, even though it was still a bit shaky underneath. Now every relationship, every partnership, and every part of his legacy was being closely examined. The base of Newman Enterprises shook with doubt. He felt betrayed not just by Adam, but also by fate itself, like destiny was teasing him, holding out the empire he built through struggle and sacrifice, always just out of reach, threatened by the same family he worked so hard to save. He took a deep breath, trying to calm down, because he knew that being scared would make it harder to think clearly. He had come close to giving up before. Years of fights in meetings, fights within the company, and problems in his family, but he made it through every one of them. He would survive this too. But first he needed answers. Proof. Strategy. A plan forged in fire, not emotion. The drive could be back in Victor's hands, but trust was broken, and the truth still feels missing. Something made Adam's confession feel unsure, like he was holding back. And a quick flash of fear showed there was another danger hidden somewhere. Someone who had tricked Adam or scared him. Someone wanted to know Newman's secrets but kept their distance, making Adam the one who got blamed. Victor tightened his jaw, realizing suddenly that this mystery wasn't going to end anytime soon. The drive's encryption was still working, but the access logs could show whether it had been copied. Cybersecurity teams might be able to find fingerprints that Adam didn't even realize he left behind. And if another force was hiding in the shadows, they would show up eventually. Victor stood up from the chair, his back straightening, the strong Titan coming back even though a big storm was going on inside him. He would defend his empire, reveal his enemies, and take back control, just like he always did. For the first time in a long while, Victor Newman felt the weight of his choices finally catching up to him, with consequences from the past grabbing hold and demanding their due. His family was the thing he couldn't purchase, fix, or replace, and now that base had broken apart so badly it was unrecognizable. Still, he whispered to himself with strong determination that filled the quiet room. No one, not enemy, not friend, not even family, would take away what he had created. Not without a fight. As the door shut behind him with a cold click, Victor promised to find out all the secrets about the theft, no matter what it took. And he was getting ready for a battle he never wanted but now had no choice but to fight. Victor walked down the hallway, his steps echoing clearly on the marble floor, making a loud sound like a drum that signaled something bad was coming. He was heading toward the elevator, and the feeling of Adam's betrayal was heavy on his chest, like a tight grip squeezing tighter with each breath. But under the strong sense of loss, another emotion started to grow, doubt creeping into his mind, making him think there was more to the theft than Adam had told. He had learned a long time ago not to take a confession at face value, especially when it came from someone as clever and hurt as Adam. As the elevator went down to the parking garage, Victor's reflection showed up on the mirror doors. His old eyes looked serious, and his jaw was tight with a determined look. He seemed more like a man troubled by old choices and the kids he raised, maybe even hurt them, rather than the unbeatable leader of Newman Enterprises. When the doors opened, a rush of cold night air hit him, bringing with it a light smell of gas and tar. The strangely silent garage made every sound stand out, the buzz of fluorescent lights, the faraway drip of water from the pipes above, and the steady tap of his formal shoes. He used his key fob to unlock the black SUV, but before getting in he stopped, held the steering wheel tightly, and his mind was racing with plans. If Adam is being completely honest, the crisis could be controlled. Victor realized someone was trying to control things, not necessarily Adam, but the person who had encouraged him to take the USB drive. The timing felt too exact, too perfectly matched with the recent chaos in the company. Talks of a possible takeover, quick changes in stock prices, and quiet conversations between the board members. Victor sat down in the driver's seat and closed the door, making a soft, heavy sound that felt like the end of something. His phone buzzed and the screen lit up with an encrypted message from Newman Security. Unscheduled access attempt detected, encryption breach failed. He clutched the device tighter, his eyes narrowing. Someone attempted to access the digital vault from a distance. That meant the drive had been copied, or at least someone tried to copy it. Adam's confession was incomplete. Victor's pulse surged. He quickly called Michael Baldwin, speaking in a short and clear way, telling him to get ready for a cybersecurity crisis, stop any leaks, freeze all assets, and launch a legal attack on the unknown people involved. As he ended the call, bright headlights suddenly came into the garage, briefly blinding him. A shiny silver sports car sped up and came toward him, then stopped suddenly just a few feet away. The driver's door opened and Victoria stepped out of breath, her eyes full of anger and fear. "I heard," she said sharply, not wasting any time, and started walking towards him. Victor looked back, eyes locked with eyes, his protective feeling clashing with his annoyance. Victoria was looking for answers, and there was no doubt she was getting ready for another storm, one that Adam was sure to start again. But Victor didn't want to cause more trouble before he had all the facts. He told her to go back home, make sure the family stayed inside and didn't talk, and get ready for an emergency meeting at sunrise. She paused, clearly ready to go further, but Victor's voice left no room for disagreement. She turned around, her heels clicking quickly, and disappeared into the elevator, leaving Victor alone again in the silence. That was when another call came in, an unknown number with a blocked ID. Victor answered cautiously. A strange, twisted voice came through the speaker mocking, "Your empire is falling apart, Victor. And you can't protect them forever." The call ended suddenly. Victor stopped moving, not because he was scared but because of a deep, icy anger. Someone was watching. Someone knew more than Adam admitted. And they wanted Victor to break. Instead, the taunt only made Victor more determined. He would track down this threat no matter how far he had to go. With new determination, he drove into the night, not heading back to the ranch or home to stay quiet and think about his problems, but instead going to a secret safe house where only a few trusted people knew he sometimes did his most dangerous work. The building stood in front, all alone and scary, with tall pine trees around it moving in the cold wind. Victor entered a code and went down into a room that looked like a bunker, which had several screens and a top-of-the-line surveillance setup. He started the digital forensic tool that searches through the drive logs to find any signs of someone trying to access remotely. It would take hours, but Victor didn't want to sleep until he got his answers. As the terminal worked on the data, Victor's thoughts went back through years of past betrayals, thinking about which enemies were still around and could have planned something like this. Jill? No. Ashley? Unlikely. Tucker? Perhaps. Jack Abbott? Always a threat, but something about this wound felt too personal, too carefully aimed at Newman's weaknesses. Could Nick or Victoria be involved? Victor tried to push the idea out of his mind, but it kept growing on him anyway. He always talked about being loyal, but he made his kids compete against each other, and that competition often turned into feelings of hopelessness. He rubbed his eyes and realized how quickly the drive could turn into the match that starts a civil war among his children. That was when the security terminal beeped. A file was flagged, and decrypted metadata was extracted. Victor leaned forward, breath catching. The attempt to access came from an IP address linked to Newman Media, specifically connected to Claire Grace's workstation, which was used remotely. Victor's expression hardened. Claire joined the Newman family last year and has been trying to win their trust, facing difficulties because of her past, which involved revenge. They gave each other forgiveness, or at least a kind of careful acceptance, but past hurts still leave marks, and anger can hide behind friendly faces. Could Claire be the hidden person controlling Adam? Was she another piece in someone else's game? Victor started a trace and found out that the workstation login was faked. Someone was pretending to be Claire. The plan became harder to follow, and the connections got mixed up in a big, complicated network. But still, Adam took the drive on his own, no matter what others might have tried to influence him. Betrayal remained betrayal. Suddenly, Victor remembered the fear he saw in Adam's eyes. Not just guilt, but something more, terror. Like someone had trapped him and made him do something he didn't want to. Victor tightened his fists, understanding that Adam's confession might have been more than just missing pieces. It could have been a sign of someone really in need. For a brief moment, Victor's face showed a softer side due to his fatherly feelings. But sentimentality was a luxury now. He started another scan to find digital clues, and as the software ran, Victor looked through the internal message logs. There, hidden within corporate talk, was one encrypted message that had been marked days before. Victor decrypted it manually. A single sentence showed up. Deliver the drive or your secret dies with you. The time mark matched exactly the day Adam took the drive. Victor slowly leaned back, his pulse racing with a clear sense of dread. Someone exploited Adam's vulnerability. Someone had a secret so dangerous it could be used as a weapon. But whose secret? Adam's? Victor's? Could it be a secret connected to the Newman family's legacy? The bunker suddenly got colder, shadows creeping in closer, and a tight feeling built up like a snake waiting to attack. Victor went back to the terminal and checked Adam's phone records, finding a call made to a temporary number just before Adam admitted what he did. Another puzzle piece. Victor dialed the number, and when the line rang once, it disconnected. This opponent was smart, careful, and took their time, way more dangerous than the typical business rivals. Victor listened again to the unclear voice from the strange call he had received before. Was it real or synthesized? Why now?